She cute. Style, comfort, and confidence. Shop with the trend in mind. She cute. Get the latest styles in outerwear, tops, jumpsuits, hats, and accessories. She cute. Shop from the comfort of your own home with confidence and quality products, hassle-free exchange, and free shipping over $65. She cute. Visit us online at SheCuteBoutique.com to shop our new fall collection.
Taking payments from today's different platforms makes it harder to manage your business. Dealing with varying fees, reporting, and deposit times not only impacts your cash flow, it makes reconciliation a nightmare. Besides, all the payments are still tied to a debit or credit card. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services provides your business with payment solutions that make reporting simple. You can manage inventory, host shopping carts, take POS payments, ACH payments, send invoices, and so much more. Most businesses save over $2,500 a year in processing fees, a real impact on your bottom line. To learn more and get customized payment solutions, visit elite8financial.com or give us a call at 866-2ELITE8. Get behind the shield.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
Increasing brand awareness is essential. The more brand exposure you have for your company, the more likely you are to generate revenue with both existing and new customers. Scale Up Productions wants to help your business scale upward by helping you to create a video advertisement that is meant to garner interest and get customers excited about what you do. Send an email to support@scaleupproductions.com today to get started. The sky is the limit. Scale up.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
He gon' fix your situation like there ain't no time for wasting. We ain't playing when we saying
he the boss.
And if you ever have a problem, he gon' show you how to solve it. Listen in and he'll show you he the boss.
Here's your host, the Texas Tax expert, George Dandridge.
And your new co-host, the financial trailblazer, Sharita Humphrey.
Crack the code, he the boss.
Welcome everybody to Boss Talk Radio. How you doing, sis?
Hey, it is the last Friday of the year. I'm excited.
It's the last day of the year.
I know. Yeah.
And you know, I was thinking about that earlier today, and I said, hey, I didn't even plug that in the announcement or whatever, that this is actually the last day of the year. So I want everybody to do something here, because we have an exciting guest for you and everything today, as usual. But since we've talked about mental health a couple times or whatever, one of the things I notice when it comes to entrepreneurs is that sometimes we have such tunnel vision, right, we don't realize the stuff we've already done. Right. You know, we're so focused forward, we haven't seen what we actually, got accomplished, right? So what I want everybody to do for me today, no matter where you're at, first go ahead and share the video. If you're watching from YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, go ahead and share the video. But here's what I want everybody to do. I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to think about 2021. Sure, I know you had some challenges. That's okay. You might have had some losses. That's okay. That's not what we're going to focus on today. This is what I want y'all to do right now. I want you to think about something that you accomplished that you actually had set out to do anyway, and you killed it. I also want you to think about something that you had no plans of doing, and it just manifested for you and you killed it. And then here's what I want you to do. I want you to announce yourself on the comments, tell us where you're coming from, And if anything great has happened to you in 2021, I want you to just start dropping those positive vibes. Let's share this energy as we close out this year. And here's what I want you to hashtag it with. I done 21 BTR for Boss Talk Radio. That's going to be the hashtag. We about to send this thing viral. We're going to spread some cheer and close out the year up in here. I done 21 BTR. Hashtag it. So what are some of the things you killed this year?
So for me, brother, I set out, one of my goals was to be able to do some global work. I am glad to say that I was able to do that. I'm working with the U.S. Department of State and in conjunction with the U.S. Embassy in Namibia. It has been an absolute amazing experience to be able to work with entrepreneurs on the ground in Namibia. So this is definitely something that I was working towards. So keep putting those things out, letting people see your work. Shout out. It was always, that opportunity came from LinkedIn, showing up. Consistency is key, but making sure that my messaging was consistent across the board. But one of the things that happened to me that I did not expect this year was that the county that I live in, Fort Bend County, actually gave me a proclamation. So August 24th, August 24th, it is now Sharita M. Humphrey Day in Fort Bend County. I was not expecting that because, most of the time, it's great, but to be able to really have it in my hand, to have that proclamation, shout out to Judge KP George of Fort Bend County. We appreciate the work that you're doing in the county. But yes, it was absolutely amazing. And to know, to have my publicist call me, like I thought she was joking. I was just like, I said, in the month of August, do you know the month of August is National Black Business Month? So for me as an African-American woman to receive a proclamation in the county that I live in for the financial work that I'm doing here in the county, but just across the state of Texas, was definitely something that I'm still kind of pinching myself. I can't believe that happened. So thank you, brother, for continuing to support me on this. So yeah, that was those are the two things that I'm definitely looking at. Like you mentioned earlier, there were some ups and downs. But you know what? Just remembering on the very last day of the year, all of the positive things that happened. I still have my health and my family. So I count those all things. And, I have some very positive relationships with some very amazing people in our ecosystem. So I'm very thankful for that. So thank you so much, guys.
And we're actually going to spend a good bit of time right there today talking about relationships. Our guest today is a relationship expert. And I don't use that word lightly. When you see this bio, you're going to say, wow. But it's another facet of the whole, mental health thing. I want entrepreneurs to understand this. In the words of Michael Jackson, you are not... Okay, I'm going to stick to what I do. The thing is, again, sometimes you have such tunnel vision that you don't realize what you've actually accomplished. I was sitting here listening to Sharita, and what y'all don't know is she left off about 2 or 3 things because it's kind of like in the works. It hasn't happened yet or whatever, but I count it all anyway. And the thing is that she consistently does the work and she consistently shows up. So the other day I put a post out and I took some heat on it. It's okay. I'm used to it. But basically what I said was, at the point that you accept that anything you don't have is your fault, your life will change. And this is not fault in a bad way. This is saying basically that you have the wherewithal to take control of any given situation, regardless of your past, because tomorrow is just a new day. You just could decide, you know what? I'm going to redefine myself. And so just, it's a joke for me. Some people got kind of mad, but we were talking about this thing where, how do you identify yourself? Because it was on LinkedIn and there was the he, him, her, she, him, this, that, there. I was like, all right, I'm learning and I'm part of the DEI task force for National Association of Enrolled Agents. So I'm like, I'm going to get with this. But then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I identify as a billionaire.
Right. I love it.
Now, my bank account doesn't reflect that, but that's how I identify, So when I walk in the room, just know that's the energy that I'm bringing, right? So today we have Dr. Brown on, and we're going to be talking about, if you saw the preliminary show announcement, we talked about how ships are supposed to take you places. Right. And so we're going to talk about relationships, not just the intimate types of relationship, but also the business relationships, the community relationships. We're also going to talk about mentorship, friendships, because oftentimes we don't take stock of the environment around us, and we don't recognize how something, for lack of better words, and I hate to use this word because it's overused, but how toxic things, we allow it to filter into our spirit. And here's another thing. Okay, so there's an old Earth, Wind, and Fire song. I know I'm telling my age, but the lyrics was something about something happened along the way, and yesterday was all we had, right? And the thing is that too often in all type of ships, friendship, relationships, etc., in the monotony of it all, something gets lost. Usually some communication, you communicate different. And then what ends up happening is there's a drift or a riff or some feelings that wasn't communicated on, how something made a person feel or whatever. And what ultimately ends up happening is now there's a unconscious animosity. And Dr. Brown's going to tell us how we can identify some of those things and how you can help both yourself and the other side of that ship, kind of, for lack of a better word, right the ship, turn that thing in the right direction. So we're going to go ahead and pay some bills, and we'll be back right after this.
Knowledge, integrity, security, service. Get behind the ship.
DP Gigs, dpgigs.com, where minority small business services reside. You may be wondering, what is DP Gigs? Well, DP Gigs is the new marketplace where you can find a variety of services from minority small business owners online, with services such as accounting, tax prep, business coaching, virtual assistant, event planning, voiceovers, web design, and so many others. Check for yourself. Visit the website, dpgigs.com. That's dpgigs.com. Now, by using the variety of minority small business services at DP Gigs, you will help keep dollars in Black and brown communities across the United States. It's easy to get started. Visit the website and search the fantastic minority small businesses that can perform the services you need at dpgigs.com. And yes, they get the job done. Check out the website, dpgigs.com, where minority small business services reside.
Your bags are packed and you're ready to enjoy a much-needed vacation. You arrive at the airport and you're delayed because you were unaware of new protocols. When you land, you're not sure who to use for reliable ground transportation. You arrive at your resort to find it doesn't look like the brochures and your accommodations aren't ready. You've just lost an entire day trying to get settled and you still have to find things to do while on vacation. Destinations and Occasions is your premier concierge travel and event planner. At D&O, every detail of your trip is vetted for quality to create a great client experience. We're even accessible while you're away to take care of any concerns that may arise. Call us today at 510-459-7732 to plan your next vacation. Or visit us on the web at destinationsandoccasions.com. Destinations and Occasions. Details is what we do. Have you ever said,
I'll hire an accountant when my business becomes profitable?
Are you working with an accountant that's only providing bookkeeping and tax services?
Get behind the shield.
The experts at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services has a solution. Virtual CFO services can put your business in the black faster and help you make data-driven decisions. Boss Virtual CFO Services offers strategic planning, risk management, reporting analysis, HR financial guidance, tax planning, and much more. Schedule your consultation today at elite8financial.com or give us a call at 866-2-ELITE-8. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services, what your business needs before it needs it.
This is Dr. Tamia Guest with Rejuvenating Chiropractic.
This is Nara Reed with Modified Nutrition Health Coach.
This is Karen Marcel with June Street Barbershop.
This is Tiffany Marcel with Marcel Luxury Realty, and you're listening to Boss Talk Radio.
We are back on Boss Talk Radio. If you missed it earlier, we're going to be talking about the ships, the friendships, the relationships, the mentorships, all the things that take you places in life and those associations. But we had a task for everybody. If you're tuning in, after you share the video, we want you to go ahead and think about some of the things that you either deliberately or even unintentionally accomplished in 2021, and tell us who you are, where you're from. Start to drop some of those positive things in the comments with the hashtag IDone21BTR. We want to go ahead and welcome to the show none other than Dr. April Brown. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Yes, I'm so glad to be on this show. Thanks for having me.
We're honored to have you because I know you're out on vacation, right?
Yes, I am. Yes, enjoying time with family. Yes.
So for those that may not already know you or follow your podcast, go ahead and tell us a little bit of your pedigree and what the podcast is all about.
Okay, my name's Dr. April Brown, and what I do is I'm a relationship therapist, and I specialize on intimacy. And intimacy means that connection between you, your higher power, yourself, and of course with your loved ones and people that you communicate with. That is my show. I have a show called Bringing Intimacy Back, which is a podcast, which talks about the relationships we have with others, with ourselves, with our higher power, because in all honesty, that's the most important thing. And when you have intimate connections, and intimate connections means those strong bonds. When you have that, that also decreases many times the depression and anxiety that people suffer with. Because I'm also a mental health therapist, so that's how I intertwine with everything. And I'd love to be on the show, and I'm so looking forward to talking with everyone.
We are absolutely excited and glad to have you. We've touched on the mental health space a couple times in the last couple of months, because I'm noticing a trend that I can't say that I'm okay with. It seems like within these vast digital spaces that as we're able to connect with more and more and more and more people, we're even more and more and more disconnected. It seems that genuine relationships, we don't know how to find them or whatever. So what have you noticed, if anything, as far as the trend in that space where people are just kind of isolating more to hide behind the digital light?
Yeah, I think the trend has been, it's in the last, in 2020, we created a lot of fear. And even fear, of course, dealing with the pandemic, but also fear in the sense of people connecting with one another, especially people from different cultures. And that has caused people to just isolate. And when you isolate for so long, then when you try to go out and connect, you become anxious because you're not used to it. I was at some kind of church facility, first time out for a while, and I even got anxious. And I was like, what is that about? And that is kind of exactly what you're saying, George, of us being disconnected, us being behind cameras, even such as this. So, we came into this world connecting. That's how each of us came into this world. That's the importance of it. And when we don't connect, we feel isolated, we feel down, we feel depressed, we feel more anxious.
And I can really relate to that, because I wanted to support some friends. So I went to a chamber event recently, and it was the first time I had been to a networking event literally since the onset of the pandemic. And I could not believe the level of anxiety I had going into the building. Like, I had to talk to myself, like,
That's how I wrote
get
that
it together. So I identify with that, and I was able to kind of recognize it. But what are some of the things people can do to kind of, I guess, for lack of better words, kind of self-check to make sure that they're okay? What are some of those signs they should look for to say, hey, I need to come back to the center?
Okay, I think one of the major signs you need to look for is up here. How are you talking to yourself? Because as you know, George, we're going to be with ourselves for the rest of our lives. We cannot divorce ourselves. So when you're up here and you're starting to second guess yourself, or, the worst thing is putting yourself down, that's when you really need to check yourself. Because for many of us, we're doing the best we can. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be stuck. Okay, but you need to learn how to be your best cheerleader. How to promote yourself, how to say, hey, you can do this. You've done this before, get back out, you can do this. So that's one area. The second area that's probably kind of tied into that is sleep. If you're worrying so much that you're not sleeping. Okay, and what I mean not sleeping, okay, so when we're awake right now and we have things that are working, that are keeping us alive, okay? When we go to sleep, we have another set of things, and I'm just keeping it simple, that are repairs. They go and repair and put things back. When you don't sleep, the inside of you looks like TJ Maxx on a Black Friday. Things are not connected at all. You can't figure out where your shoes are, where your glasses. So sleep, it's critical. You must make sure you sleep. Third thing is you must make sure that whatever you're doing, you're in the present moment.
I think that's really missing today.
Yes.
Being in the moment part. I remember a few years back, I was at a teenager's party, and it was the weirdest thing. All of his friends were there, but everybody was on their phone. And I'm like, who could y'all possibly be texting if all of y'all are here?
Right, exactly. We miss those moments. And that's what causes us not to connect with people, those intimate moments. Many times our bodies are somewhere, our bodies are there, but our mind is either in the past or in the future. And this, of course, affects intimacy and sex. When you're not fully present, you don't enjoy that present moment. So when you start going someplace, and let's say you're starting to be anxious, what am I doing? Why am I here? All this. Center yourself. Find 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can taste, 1 thing you can smell. In other words, use your 5 senses and bring yourself to the center.
That's good, because I was going to ask, how do you actually accomplish that? Like bringing yourself to the center, because I don't know about Sharita, but I know that I have been guilty in the past of just like shutting down, and at that moment, like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to be by myself. They're like, what's wrong? I don't know. I just want to be myself, So you said use your 5 senses to basically reconnect into the moment.
Right, to the present moment, because that's the only thing we can change. Yeah, the past, we can talk about it, which it's important to talk about, make pancakes out of it, but you cannot change it. The future, we can make goals, but we cannot over worry about how to get there, because I'm a believer, and the higher power does not take directions from me, So the only thing we can do is the present moment. That's the only thing we have control over.
Okay, now I don't want, I like that, but I don't want the wrong person to get comfortable with that. So where's that fine line between yeah, I can't control the future, and I'm probably doing the best I can, versus, all right, I'm just kind of stuck. I don't know I'm stuck because I'm going to blame everything else rather than identify that I'm actually stuck.
Okay, so there's a thing called the law of attraction. What you put out in the atmosphere, you get back. You're right. I don't want people stuck in the couch. We got to move, which means you got to have a little bit of anxiety. So it's important to have some goals, to have a goal of what you're going to do. Because other than that, if you didn't have a goal, then you're stuck. You're not driving anywhere. You got to have a goal. Okay, I'm a believer. You got to pray about it, talk about it. God talk to you, your higher power, and move. Mm-hmm. What you shouldn't do is you shouldn't worry about every little aspect. You know, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Have a goal, believe in it. You know, I'm a believer in vision boards. Do a vision board, believe in it, and then move forward.
I tell people all the time, it is like, in my opinion, it is impossible to take deliberate steps towards anything and it comes back void. Like anything you don't have, if you start to move toward it, you know, the opportunities just start to open. By the time you've done everything you can, at that moment that you started and saw, well, I don't have this or I don't know how to do this, by the time you actually got there, well, the opportunity is opened up, and however it needs to be done, or whatever materials you need to get it done just tends to show itself. But I find that a lot of people don't use that inner faith to move themselves forward. What would you say that's attributed to? Because my guess would be that something happened along the way and they don't actually connect the two. They don't realize that this thing, this time, that moment had this impact on them, and it affects their subconscious, if that's even a thing. Am I off base there?
No, you're right. What keeps people stuck is they're in pain. Then we try to figure out where the pain is. They're hurt. And then you go down and say, what are you really hurt about? What are you really hurt about? And a lot of time it's fear. And these fears come from these messages that are stuck in our head. That either someone has told us or that we've seen it somewhere, that I can't do it, I'm not worthy, there's, no hope for me. And we all have had pain. And I love how you said in the first part of this show, we all have had pain this year, in these past 2 years. I've had my personal pain and suffering and loss. But I could have just been stuck and just didn't do anything. Right. But I prayed about it, and God said, let's move. And so that challenge of, like you said, just trying. So one of the things that happened to me this year was I'd always had on my vision board about writing books. It's been on my vision board since 2015. Actually, this year, after things were removed from me, I actually found the time to sit there and start it and put out 4 books this year.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but that took, how can I put it? Something happened to me that wasn't pleasant, but I sat there and I said, you know what? I got to feel it. I got to put it down, and I got to move. And I got to go and still do what my purpose is in life.
Well, we're going to definitely have to list those books or the site where people can find them. 4 books in a year. I don't know about you, sis. I'm feeling real lazy right now. I'm feeling real unaccomplished right now.
Those were short ebooks. It's just short ebooks.
But still,
yeah.
But one of the reasons I wanted to do this, so I'm gonna have a transparency moment, because I think a lot of times people see how I show up and they think that's just 100% of the time who I am, what I do. So I had to do a thing. And today it was kind of weird. Me and Tia were talking, and she was trying to give me, she's in the travel industry, and she was trying to give me like these new stats and everything that had come from CDC and so forth and so on, how they're picking on the cruise industry. But in the process, what came out was they were talking about how this Mariana, whatever you call it, strand is actually being perpetuated more by vaccinated people than unvaccinated people, but that even more importantly than that, by people who have gotten the booster shot. And I had to, like you just said, I had to bring myself back to the present because I didn't even realize, but I had tuned the world out. I turned the TV off. So I had no idea what was happening with COVID, no idea what was going on outside of my little circle or whatever. You know, I've just been serving clients and connecting the community and just focusing on the work that I do. And the reason why was because we were coming out of 2020 and I was just overwhelmed. It had gotten to be too much. Everything going back to the onset of the pandemic, to the George Floyd incident, the reactions to it, my feelings about the reactions to it, you know, the moment that we all had when we're gasping a breath, waiting for a verdict and expecting it to go one way.
Right.
But even though it went probably the right way, we didn't feel like it was for the right reasons.
Right.
You know, and all of these things just started to weigh on me or whatever. And I just had to cut off the world, you know, and center myself just in what I do. If you saw my office right now, my home office is crazy because it's set up like a control room. And I just got a Christmas upgrade. It was funny because every time I said I needed to get something, Tia walked in with something gift wrapped, and it was just what I said I needed. Like, wow, okay, this is cool. So I've literally had and I don't know if it's unhealthy, I literally had kind of hunkered down into my home office and found my happy place over here, you know. And when it was time to go back out, like I said, when I went to that chamber event, the anxiety was real. I mean, from the minute I got in the car, and it just got worse as I pulled up, you know, walking into the building, I had to kind of psych myself up, like, you know. And I was like, I can't be alone, you know, in this, that place, you know. So I want to talk about it, and I want to help some other people that might be experiencing that kind of, you know, talk about it and find some outlets on that.
Right. So George, that is normal. What happened to you? Because like I said, it happened to me. I first time went out to a Bible study and I wanted to say something, raise my hand, but I got too shy. And I was like, what, April, God's telling me one thing and I'm like, I can't, I just got really nervous. I'm like, April, you counsel 50 million people, you do this and that. And I really, in fact, I didn't end up saying anything, but I really had to check myself and say, April, what in the hell? What in the hell's going on? And I realized, just like you said, we were so isolated with so much stuff going on. It's the processing part. And now coming back out into a world that, how can I put it? Before, we maybe trust everybody, hug people and all that. Now we come out, we can't really hug people. It's, you know, these things here, you know, it's just everyone's looking at you. It's just it's a new world.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
However, I know
reacclimating is tough.
yes, we're not supposed to live in fear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think this whole thing, and you probably caught me, you know, saying pandemic over and over, but because I really believe this was a fear campaign,
right?
You know, orchestrated by the powers that be or whatever. You know, I don't want to get into something make it sound like a conspiracy theory, but it's like, I don't want anybody to feel like I think that COVID's not real or whatever.
Right.
But what we do know is that it is man-manufactured. So, you know, and I think it was designed to do a thing and cause a distraction and cause this type of a distrust and a disconnect while giving up certain controls and freedoms, and basically kind of coming to accept certain things. You know, like if you can make condition people to accept a certain thing, like, all right, this is what this is, and this is how it's going to be, and nobody's going to put up a fight for it, like, okay, you know, then you won.
Yeah, but I also think you have to, how can I put it, not get so worried and consumed about it that you don't stop doing your life. And there are people that get so consumed into it that they stop living their lives, or they stop doing their things. And I really try to, I call it stay in my lane. Yes, yeah. I have, those concerns, but if there's a mission out there for me to do, that's what I'm going to focus on, and that's what my focus and not to disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways to connect with people and even to connect with yourself, which is really important to do.
Because I'm going to have to take a moment right there to go ahead and give Reed props, because I watched Sharita throughout this process, and she kind of gave me some courage sometimes, because if it had to be done, she was showing up, and I'm like, she's got a little one at the house. I don't even have that to deliberate or whatever, but she shows up, for the work and do the service. And girl, you brave.
And I don't know. And Dr. Brown, I mean, you're hitting on so many areas. I'm if you see me looking off, I'm over here taking some notes, even because this is good, right? This, it's for everybody, but sometimes, some of the messaging is just for you. But you talked about something about it, like, because the internal, the people who know me, like George, they know I'm really an introvert. So just being able to, just to get outside of my box, I'm cool. I'm like, George, I can go sit over here and turn off the world and Happy New Year. Right. But there's something, what I love people and I want to be able to help them. So the thing I battle with is, like you said, just being able to show up. The introvert in me almost screamed when somebody coughed on the elevator and had a sneeze. I just wanted to shut down everything. Y'all were going on martial law, so it was like internal battle, because I'm like, how do I still show up without having 1,000 things running through my mind? Like, just to kind of just figure out, okay, what do I need to do? And my automatic is my little one. And so for me, I like have mom guilt when I walk, I go out, because I'm just trying to figure out, like, was this a great idea for me to be able to do this with all the things that are going on in the world? So I really appreciate George being transparent, because it is hard. It's definitely a battle, but still being consistent. My word for this year was consistency. It was consistency. So even so what you said, I have it everywhere on this wall. I was just like, even whether that means online or in person, I'm still going to show up despite how I feel. But what do you do with those thoughts after the fact, after showing up, especially in person, because you're like, oh, I don't want to be, I'm that person. My husband tells me, Lord, you probably got 10,000 thoughts because you worry too damn much. Because I know that, that is something, just to be very transparent, that's something that I deal with often. I'm like, okay, I want to show up, but do I really want to? Like, it's an internal battle. So any tips or tricks on how to be able to deal with that, especially as a mom? And I know for us, we go into nurture mode. We're like, oh, we become lioness. So what do we do with that? And how do you combat that and not feel guilty when you have a purpose to be able to show up in the world and still be able to make sure that you protect your family and your own mindset?
Well, the first thing, thank you so much for sharing that. The first thing is your inner spirit, Sharita. There is an inner spirit in you that leads and guides you. And you have to know the difference when your inner spirit is talking to you versus yourself. Okay, that's critical. And when your inner spirit tells you, hey, it's time to go and do this, or hey, it's time to just stay home and don't do that. Being able to listen to that is very, very important. Number two is that we do all have anxious thoughts. We do have worried thoughts. And our thoughts can sometimes be negative. Okay, we live in a negative world and with all the news and stuff. So when a thought comes into your mind that is negative, that is, sometimes I call them X-rated thoughts, that's trying to scare you, like a scary movie. It is okay to write it down. I know people say, well, godly, if I write it down, it's going to happen. No, if you write it down, you're going to actually release it. If you write it down, do not keep all that up here. Write it down, get it out, even if it's the most hateful thing. And when I do a lot of couples therapy, and when people are upset with one another, or even if you're upset with your boss or whatever, before you say anything, do anything, write it down. Write it down. Thus you can see it. Okay. What you do after you write it down, it's very important. You do not have to keep that. You can throw it away. Yes, exactly. Throw it away. Throw it away. Do not keep it. That is releasing it from in here. Okay? This world is somewhat negative. And there may be negative people around you, whether it's in business or in your personal life. But the one thing that is going to hurt you the most is if you're negative to yourself. Do not think or talk negative stuff to yourself. You are always a work in progress. So if you fall down, which we all do, I make mistakes every day, I get back up and I say, I'm a work in progress, I'm going to try better. Do not live in guilt. It is hard as moms, and I'm a mom myself, and as women, that we go and when we do things for ourselves or for whatever, we feel guilty. We feel like, oh my gosh, why did I go do that? Well, a couple of things. One thing, most prophets never ran around. They walked. Okay? So take time for yourself. Number two, it's okay to take time for yourself. Because if the mama or the women or yourself is not taking time for you and not showing up for the love for you, then you're not going to have energy for anybody else. And it's okay for your kids to sometimes spend alone time. Please do not be one of those parents who like to entertain the kids 24/7. It is okay for them to spend alone time. It's okay for you to go out and do something, they stay home and do whatever. That is okay. Guilt is a wasted emotion that just keeps you locked down. If you feel guilty too much, that anxiety and that depression is just going to overwhelm you. Okay? When you start to feel guilty, like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? I feel so guilty. Write it down. It's in the past. I did the best I can. I believe that most people do the best they can with what they have. And you move on.
I love the one about the wasted.
Oh yeah, I like that.
It is.
Look, now I don't have to feel a kind of way because I never was afflicted with feelings of guilt, and now I have I'm going to go ahead and say a medical professional diagnosis that I don't have to. We're going to go ahead and pay some bills. We'll be back right after this.
Did you know the IRS just hired more than 50,000 new agents? Most of these agents specialize in collections and are mandated to audit small businesses and increase collections on individuals. IRS notices can be intimidating, but waiting to act could cost you your valuable taxpayer rights. Don't try to handle the IRS alone. These agents are trained to track you into agreements designed to collect as much money as possible. Don't pay thousands of dollars to a marketing company claiming to be a tax resolution firm. Get behind the shield. The enrolled agents at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services are experts at tax resolution, protecting taxpayers' rights, and are federally licensed to represent taxpayers before the IRS. Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services has the knowledge, skill, and experience to assist you with audit representation, liens, levies, offers and compromise, innocent spouse relief, wage garnishment, back taxes, and more. Don't lose sleep, time, or your rights as a taxpayer. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com to schedule a consultation and get the IRS off your back. Get behind the shield. Bags are packed and you're ready to enjoy a much needed vacation. From exotic luxury vacations to dream weddings, theme parties to family reunion cruises, corporate travel to corporate team building events, Destinations and Occasions is your premier concierge travel and event planner. Take the stress out of planning and arranging your events and travel. Call us today at 510-459-7732 or visit us on the web at destinationsandoccasions.com. Destinations and Occasions, details is what we do. Life insurance, the most affordable, risk-free, wealth-building tool in history. Advances in life insurance allow you to plan for college, retirement, invest it, unexpected living expenses, and has the power to change the outlook of the next generation. Experts say most Americans are underinsured or have outdated policies. Your life policies should be optimized every 5 years or whenever there is a major life event. Call 866-235-4838 or visit us online at elite8financial.com/life insurance to have the experts at Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services provide you a free quote or a free evaluation of your existing coverage. If you won't do it for you, do it for them. Get behind the shield.
You know, of all the upticks and everything that I saw at the onset of the pandemic, new life insurance policies wasn't one of them. That's kind of odd. But anyway, welcome back to Boss Talk Radio. We're talking with Dr. April Brown and really kind of uncovering some internal things, some intrinsic matters that may be affecting you as we reacclimate to the new normal. Does that word even applicable anymore? Can we say normal? Is there such thing as normal anymore?
There isn't that such thing as normal now.
So what do we say is acceptable or not acceptable? How do we gauge our engagements and tolerance of others and other situations and whatnot?
Okay. I'm also going to answer the question that was in the chat. There was a question in the chat, but I'm going to try to answer them both. Number one, how to engage where you're at for mental health. Let me explain a little bit the difference between depression and anxiety. Depression is that negative feeling of where you just don't have energy, where you just don't want to get up. Even it's that feeling of failure that one person indicated. It can be a sense of depression where you don't want to do anything. And sometimes you're stuck in the past. Being anxious is when those thoughts are running so fast that you can't even keep up with the heart is racing. Okay. When you start feeling any of these kind of things and like you're not sleeping, one of the things is you may want to start to talk to someone. And I know it's like, what? Tell my business? Yes. But talking, letting it out, does provide some sense of relief. Okay? Of course, it's good to, if you're spiritual and that kind of stuff, talking with the pastor does help because it does help you to figure out with your inner spirit. But then also for some people, they may also need professional help to learn how to take those negative thoughts and how to transform them. First thing, understanding where the negative thought comes from. That's number one. And then how to transform them into something positive. So this individual that is feeling like a financial failure. Mm-hmm. In life, we all have journeys. Okay? And you may be on a journey that didn't go as financially well as you wanted it to be. But number one, it's got to get rid of this word failure, because failure will keep you stuck. If you think you fail, you have a big F on the paper, you're going to sit there and not do anything. No, that is a process. Okay, I missed some steps. Let me see what else needs to be done.
Process.
Yes, it's a process. Yes. So whether, number one, you're working at the job that is the best job you can do, or maybe you can find something else better. Okay. The only way to know that is maybe talking to someone, or also sitting down and writing down your skills. What do I have to offer? Okay. Because one of the things I haven't said yet is that people treat you the way you treat yourself. People treat you the way you treat yourself. So if you treat yourself like you can only make minimum wage, or even less than minimum wage, and you don't even believe in yourself, that's going to affect everything. People treat you the way you treat yourself.
That was a hitter right there.
Yes. So definitely think about that. Think about that in the whole job process, to see if maybe I can work extra, or maybe I can work a better job, or maybe I can work on something else. Okay. But let's say you are doing everything. You're all doing everything. And maybe for some reason in your family, they don't feel that it's good enough. But if you know you're doing the best you can, that's all you can do. And you know you're doing the best you can. Okay? Other people may be saying 50 million things, and there's some people in this world who will just put you down, or who will feed off you. You know, they'll tell you what to do and they're not doing it. So the other thing is, make sure you are centered around people that are giving you positive stuff, positive information, that are uplifting you. Because that impacts everything else. Yes.
You have to identify those microaggressions.
Right. And you have to remember, I know they say family is thicker than blood. Or blood is thicker than water. I get that. However, in reality, we didn't pick our family.
Ooh, that's good.
Right.
We weren't up there and say, that's where I want to be born at.
Right.
Okay. So sometimes with family members, maybe they don't know how to love you the way you need to be loved. Maybe they haven't been loved themselves.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? We come from generations of generations. Yes.
Yeah, I know my saying, self-preservation is not selfishness.
Right.
Right.
Right. So if you look back in your family generation, all these fightings and all this other stuff, and mamas don't get along with this, and you said, I don't want to be like that. Right. Then you have the power to change the future generation. But it starts with you.
And
it starts with you.
Earth, Wind, and Fire is going to be hot on today's episode, because I had another one come to my mind. They have the song that say, talking to yourself is fine, make you feel much better. I think I internalized that as a young person, because anybody that's close to me always hear me talk about my roommates as me, myself, and I. We don't always get along, but we always talk to each other.
Good. Yeah. And then it seems like you're always on the same team then.
At the end of the day.
Yes, good. And then if you are in a relationship that you chose of some sort, and maybe the person is not treating you well. Okay, maybe the person is not treating you well. I'm sorry, I'm back. Hopefully I'm back on. And you need to decide how to move forward. Okay? It's really important for you to focus on yourself. Yes. To cut them out. Yes. But sometimes people go and they just say, I'm going to leave you. They say all these 50 million things, but they haven't really taken care of themselves. You need to focus on yourself first. Get yourself strong enough. Because in some situations, you have to have a plan. The left hand doesn't always have to know what the right hand is doing. Sometimes you have to have a plan. You can't just go, yes, figure out what your plan is. That's why writing, talking to other people. And so talking to other people, some people say, why do I need to talk to other people? So when you just talk to yourself, which is great, but you're only in your own little world. Mm-hmm. Sometimes other people can give you insight. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it does expand the possibilities. Okay, and you do have to be very careful about who you talk to. If you have friends, co-workers, business people who you talk to, but you hear them talking about other people, then why tell them your personal stuff? You have to find someone you trust. Yes.
Oh, so Dr. Brown, I'm sorry, we get some DM, so I wanted to be able to throw this question to you. How do I know? I thought I could trust the person, but they told my business. So how do I trust again?
Okay. Like Maya Angelou says, you can learn to forgive that person, but don't invite them to. You don't have to invite them to dinner again. Okay. So you maybe don't trust that person anymore. Okay. Then you look around, and it takes time. You don't just tell your business to your first friend you see. I mean, that's you got to know who to talk to. Yes. And maybe in the sense of you working on yourself, also in working on yourself, it's really good to even write down a list of what you're looking for in a friend, what you're looking for in a significant other, what you're looking for in a business, half a shopping list. Okay. And don't stream away from that.
But is it possible that you can miss out on the blessing by having a check the box system?
I know.
Yes, it is possible. That's why you do have to talk with your inner spirit to help you create this list, number one. And number two, it's not like you put a list like I want someone who's got red hair, a big boobs or whatever the case may be. It's, it's those intrinsic values that are important. You want someone who is like-minded like you. Even in your business, you want like-minded people.
Right.
You want people that you can grow with. But also, don't get too big where you can't help the person that's just a little bit below you. You want to help pull other people up.
I got to do that George thing that I do. It's about that time anyway.
Yes.
But see, some of y'all gonna be out here making a check the box list, and the problem is you ain't checked your own box. What you talking about, George? You know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all ain't got yourself all the way together. You want a friend that you can't be. You should not expect what you are not willing to give.
Exactly.
If you can't be that great friend, then maybe that's why you're attracting these toxic tell your business people. I found the method that worked for me. I'm not encouraging everybody to do this because you might be around the wrong type of people. But I decided one day that I was just going to become a very transparent person, and therefore nobody can use anything against me. Like, you want to go talk about, yep, I did that. I'm not perfect. I'm just a perfect George. And so it's hard for people to try to shame or embarrass me. If I did it, I've done it. Probably I'd do it again based on whatever I was thinking at the time or whatever. But when it comes to inviting other people in your space or whatever, it's always funny because some of the most public people are the biggest introverts.
Right.
And it's funny looking around our ecosystem is like, yeah, if we're not showing up for, the message, yeah, good luck finding us.
Right. And so, Dr. Brown, I've told George this since we've met. There's a difference between a network and an ecosystem. Like, we work in ecosystems. Like, and so, and I think that, George, that's probably a whole nother show. And that's why people are like, well, how is there so much unity and support in your ecosystem? Like, how are you guys doing this? And they're like, what are you looking for? And I said, just what George said, well, you'll know it. I like the box. But there's definitely something that's more refined in the ecosystem. There's not things that we have to say to one another. Like when I picked up the phone and I'm like, hey, I ain't seen you online. What's happening? Like, right. consistency. Like,
yes,
waiting for, but those are things that you just know because you've really gotten to know that person. A lot of times people are the people that you're trying to attract. What's the purpose behind it? A lot of some people, some people have an agenda, not a purpose.
right.
Sharita being polite with y'all. I'm gonna go and say it. Y'all keep walking in the room to see what you can get is better than to see what you can give. If you show up for service, you'll never leave void. But too many of y'all walk into every situation looking to see what you can get out of it. And oftentimes you're the one that show up empty-handed and packing plates before the party over.
No, but you're right, George. You have to really get to know yourself first.
Right.
And even in a sense of friendship or what you said about trust, the first friend and trust you should have is with yourself. Mm-hmm. So how you treat yourself is how other people are going to treat you. It goes back to that concept.
Can we spend a minute right there on this trust thing? Because I think that is a word that is abused, and I have my perception of the word, but you're the professional, so I want to hear from you. What should people think of or identify with as trust? Because after I'm gonna share my thoughts on it, but I want to hear the professional medical diagnosis what this intangible thing is.
And I'm not saying this is a medical, but I look at trust as having a person's back no matter what, or having my own back in all circumstances, no matter what. I'm on Dr. April's side no matter what. That's what I call trust. I have her back. I'm not going to talk shit about her. She's my best friend. That's how I see trust as. And I say the same when I do with couples. It's having a person's back no matter what. So, I don't know. Does that fit your definition?
Well, I'm going to give my version of it because I remember when I learned it and I took it so much further than what was presented at that moment in time. But if you ever seen the movie, There's a Thin Line Between Love and Hate with Martin Lawrence and Regina King.
Yes.
There was a scene where he asked, "Do you trust me?" And she thought about it for a minute and she was like, "Yeah, I trust you. I trust you because I know you." And here's where I think trust gets violated. So you have to go to work every day for 2 weeks and then you get paid, right? Mm-hmm. You put in the work and then you got paid.
Right.
Flip side, you whip out a credit card, you spend the money in advance with an expectation. And I think what ends up happening is that people decide in their mind who somebody should be, bestow a false sense of trust there when they don't know who this person is. And when this person doesn't meet their expectation of who they want them to be, they say, "Well, you broke my trust." No, you never knew that person. So I think that trust is one of those things that have to come in time and be earned and not placed on a credit card. Like don't advance somebody to trust and then get mad when they don't pay the bill. You know?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And in relationships, you do have to iron out what that trust actually means. Because in different relationships, I'm a sex therapist, so I see a variety of relationships. So trust means a variety of different things to different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in different spaces. I don't think the word is just a singular thing that because I think you can trust people at different levels. I remember being at a party and, the little metal folding chairs or whatever, I sat in one and it collapsed. Now, that was a false sense of trust. My big ass should have kind of evaluated that or whatever. But, I trusted this chair was going to hold me up. And when it didn't, well, was that really anybody else's fault?
Right. I think sometimes we put all our eggs in one person's basket,
right,
and trust them on everything. And then when it crashes, we're like, oh my gosh, why did that happen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When really maybe they were supposed to be only for this one lane here, not for everything.
Ooh.
So even in the sense of going back to what goes up here. So when people tell you stuff, so people tell me a lot of stuff, I really look and see where they have expertise or experience in what they're talking about. And if they don't, if I don't find them credible, I don't let them rent space up here.
Mm-hmm.
So an example, I had a mother who stayed home. She's a housewife. But she had all these talks about me when I worked, when I raised my kids, older now. I didn't let her rent space up here about my motherhood as a working mom because she never had that experience. So even though she has her opinion, I didn't let it soak in. You know what I'm saying? I know she's an excellent cook, so she could, talk to me about cooking. I let that sink in. So you have to kind of know how to trust people, what their expertise or experience is, what they're good at, before you let people just rent space up here.
So James just said that's tough. There are plenty of people that trust you, that trust until you give them a reason not to.
Yeah.
But isn't that the credit card?
That is.
Credit card trust. I mean, if they ain't earned it. Like I always pick on my younger nieces and everything when they say the word friend, and I'm like, you don't have no friends. You don't even been alive long enough to have friends. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you have to go through something to be friends, not just going through something together, but you have to go through something. They have to go through something. Right. You have to go through something together. It has to be a proven process to be able to establish that, okay, this is actually my friend. This is somebody I can count on in a given situation. Doesn't mean every situation, because again, I think sometimes we mistake expectation for trust, and then we fail to give grace because we don't get that expectation, but never considered that, hey, maybe that person was going through something at the same time. And that's the reason they didn't show up. Like, hey, you can trust me not to show up. Right. I'm not coming. So, but at the same time, if it's something you're really going through where you need me, or you need someone, that's when I'm there. I'm not always there when the sun is shining, but I walk through the hurricane with you, and I think that's when it matters. Like, case in point, I felt really bad about when it was Sharita Humphrey Day and we couldn't get the clarity on how it was going to go down, whether it was going to be restricted or whatever. It was like, got to be there for my girl. So, it's certain people I show up for. For the most part, you can trust that I'm not coming. I'm not going to be there. I don't want to come. But
no. George, we bad people. That's how we get along.
Yeah.
That's why we get along.
But there are some people, George, that are leeches that just leech onto people.
Say that again?
That are leeches. They leech onto people, kind of like with the guy. They say they're going to trust you with everything, but they don't really even know you.
I don't think they heard you in the back. One more time.
Wait, one more time. Let me cut it up.
Yeah, but they don't know you. They leech onto you, and you've got to be careful and recognize, like you said earlier, what is this person creating a relationship for? What's their purpose? What are they really trying to do? Yeah, because sometimes it's other people's stuff. I call it like they verbally vomit. and they expect you to clean up their mess. But that's not your mess to clean up.
And I think if the answer to that question, if you ask the question, well, why is this person trying to create this relationship or what have you, if the answer is you really can't come up with anything, like you don't see in the media, you can give the benefit of the doubt, not the benefit of trust, but the benefit of that's not the same thing. But like in that process, you get to observe their character, you know, and like if I see somebody code switch,
right,
I immediately if you can't be this here and here, I mean, okay, I can't count on you to be a certain way. I can't do you, you know.
Right.
And I think people with low self-esteem are the ones that code switch because they have to try to, I don't know, fit in or whatever. I don't get that, but
right.
Those
George,
people make me nervous.
Right. George, are you okay telling people, no, I don't want to be your friend?
I don't think too many people get close enough to me to tell for me to say that.
Okay, because it's okay to say to someone you don't want to, connect. I mean, just because someone shows up and they want to connect with you doesn't necessarily mean
right.
Now, okay. I can say that I can think of a couple isolated events where someone kept trying to go out of their way to connect with me. And one thing about me is if somebody's connected to me, it was just a genuine thing that happened, because if you make an effort, you're going to make me nervous. I'm serious. If you know, is one thing that it's funny. I had a client the other day who had seen me at a workshop. I wasn't a speaker there. I was just in attendance. And somehow he got referred back to me or whatever. And so when I got on the Zoom and I'm doing my thing, of course, I'm in my own world at that point, you know, he's like, I really thought you were a quiet person. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I saw you at the workshop and you didn't talk to anybody that didn't talk to you. It's like, yeah, that's pretty George-like.
Yeah, but even in business, we don't have to accept every client.
Oh, absolutely.
One more time.
Say it again.
In business, we don't have to accept every client.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's some that it's going to do more damage than good for you. You got to really,
I don't know if my colleague James is still on, but she was talking to you. No, but I think what happens is, I think that when people are starting up, that combination of ambition and fear is one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I don't want to seem bigoted or, you know, unappreciative of opportunity. And so they'll take a customer because they want to drive, you know, revenue, and they don't want to miss, you know, a dollar early on. And I get that, but at some point, you have to start to identify who your client base is.
Right. Exactly.
And then when you do that, here's the part two. I use this in my training. If where you are is not where your ideal client is,
right,
you're probably in the wrong place.
Right, exactly.
Something needs to change because they're not going to come to where you're at if, you know, they're all over here. You need to be over there. So you may have to change your environment or your circle or whatever. Now, some people say, well, isn't that code switching? No, that is not. That is being identified with where you want to be, because what you're going to find is that most times when people are successful, and I can be absolutely wrong, but I think that most times when people are successful, they found success in a like-minded community.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And finding themselves in a like-minded community requires networking. That's how you get in that like-minded community.
Stop fussing at me, Dr. Brown.
And when you network, even in my businesses, then you actually sometimes even find people who can take on the people you don't want to see, or the clients you don't, that don't fit your avatar or your target market. But it's all about that connection, that networking, which goes back into the part of having intimate connections with people in networking. And that doesn't mean to sleep with them. What that means is, I just want to put that out.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, it's getting to know them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, getting to know their family, their likes, and that kind of stuff. Yes, because the more people, if people trust you, goes back to that trust word. They're seeing you people. It's all about networking. If you really want to move up to the top.
Right.
I want to have a transparent moment about an experience I had that was actually great, and it was several years ago. But I had made the decision that I was going to come out of my introverted self. For all the things I've accomplished, all the designations, the certificates, etc., this was the greatest I ever had, right? So I found this networking group, and I had been to other networking events that just caused me anxiety, but I went to this one, and what was really, really great about it is that there was kind of a training aspect that allowed you to just be quiet and, kind of scan the room. And, the same people tend to show up every week. They were members or whatever. And what started to happen was you started to get to know people. And it was interesting because for the year that I spent there, I think only one person became a client in that 1 year period. But now, today, everybody that was a part of that group is now a client of mine. And it was really weird because this was me like really pushing myself out there. But what was great was that when I went to this event, and it was weekly, but what happened was when I went there, because there was no outside pressure to bring someone a referral or something, their time allowed for natural connection. People underestimate time. Time is an amazing thing.
Of course, yes.
But in time doing what it did, it filtered out the people that were just there to get what they can get, that was there to make a sale or whatever. Because number one, it was the commitment of showing up. That was my biggest challenge. And once I got there, then it was easy for me to contribute or whatever. But now every single person that was in that group is a client, and they've all sent me additional clients or whatever.
Awesome.
And a lot of them were actually like really good friends, and that's just a client relationship or what have you. So, but in all transparency, when the pandemic hit, it got real easy for me to get back to so that's why there was so much anxiety when I went to this this event here recently, because not being in that environment was my norm or whatever. But I had fun, and it's like working out. Like the more I did it, the more comfortable it became. Of course, new rooms would be a new anxiety or whatever, but as you kind of got to know those people, things just got better. Now I was a sales trainer for 20-some years, so I can turn on the lights, when it's time to go, but as soon as I come off the stage, exit left.
Yeah, and so what I say to myself, because I'm an introvert, which means people drain energy from you. You have to go spend time by yourself to refuel. Extroverts, they get their energy from people.
She gets us.
Yeah, so I get it. But yeah,
don't you feel like you've been diagnosed like that?
No, I get it.
Where do I make my copay?
No, I get it. And I push myself. I say, April, you can try it once. If you don't like it, don't have to go again. That's the rule that April and Dr. April have. But yeah, that's important. But yeah, being introvert just means it's where you get your energy from. And it's so great that you invested in yourself. You took time, invested in yourself, and look how it just prospered. And sometimes we join these groups, which is great. I was a member of a group. I became president of the group, and now I'm moving away from that group because it's time for me to move on.
No, I will say that experience did help me. As a result. I'm able to be part of different committees and groups outside of just my professional hat, where I can authentically show up or what have you. It made me a little bit more comfortable
Awesome.
in doing that. I'm gonna be like Sharita one day though, where I don't have to worry about it because everybody just love me as soon as I walk.
I just try to say, and the thing is I think, like I tell George all the time, I was just like, his energy is infectious, and he doesn't it really is, and whether it's offline or online. And I think that a lot of times is like people don't understand how introverts, when we speak, we're going to be vocal, but when we're quiet, just let us have our time.
Exactly.
Introvert does not mean shy. Okay, yeah. That's
and I think that when people hear that, they're like, well, it's that you're shy. Oh no.
Yeah, no, that's the same thing. No,
no, it's not the same. I was just like, no, I said it's not the same thing. God, he saved me. My clapback is reformed. But the thing is what I appreciate having these conversations, because it literally always tends to happen, because people are always surprised when they hear, and I'm pretty sure George says that we're introverts, and they're like, what? Well, how do you do this job? Well, how do you show up? How do I I said that part of us, and I'm so glad that you really deep dived into that. It's about the energy.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times with people who are introverted, we don't have as many toxic or dramatized relationships, because energy for us is very, very important. Whether we walk in the room, the energy's off, we're like, okay.
I actually read that somewhere.
Yeah.
I read that somewhere online, and the internal laugh that I had when I read it, it said that introverts start getting ready for a Friday event on Tuesday. First, we have to talk ourselves into it. Then we have to cut off everything, like just kind of get all the way into ourselves. And for this 2-hour event, after that, we need like 2-3 days because we put all our energy.
I love it. Mm-hmm. That's why I got bi-weekly therapy sessions. I was like, about mental wellness.
Yes.
Speaking of therapy sessions, let's go ahead and share some of this information on how people can reach out and touch base with Dr. Brown, because we've only touched on some of the things that she does and whatever. She is also a couples therapist, a sex therapist, and counsels youth and elderly, etc., really specializing in areas of depression. And we're going to look, I'm going to make y'all mad with me one more time for the year out. Stop saying Black people don't get depressed. I'm guilty. I used to say it. I know. Yep. I used to say there's no such thing as depression. I know better now. So stop saying that Black people don't get depressed. They may not identify it.
Right.
Right. And can I say one thing? Depression in men does not, or in some people, does not look the same way as people think. People think when You're depressed. You got your head underneath the covers and you're not going anywhere. People can be depressed and still go to work every day, feed their family, you know, do all their stuff, but there's stuff up here.
Right.
That it's not sitting right.
Right.
Yeah, it could just be a chemical imbalance too, and it doesn't mean that it's a permanent thing.
Right.
And being a man doesn't mean that you can just overcome it because you're a man. Let's stop thinking that too.
Right. Or that you're a Christian.
Everything ain't gonna be prayed away either. You know, sometimes just a little help. You know, tell us about the the vacation counseling, the retreats.
So what I do is we have vacation counseling, which is a retreat process that we have here in Florida, where you come down as a couple. We do one couple at a time. You set up in a vacation rental, and we provide intense therapy to help you in your relationship. Some individual couples and sex therapy, of course, and we help you have a vacation. So we will keep it real. We will keep it funny. We'll keep it fun. It's just another way of doing things, but it's one couple at a time at vacation counseling.
How long have you been doing that now?
That has been a year and a half. That's my new business.
Okay.
So as you keep moving, and also with vacation counseling, you get more than one therapist. It's at least 2 or 3 therapists.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's very intense.
Then you also have your primary practice, right?
Yes. Cape Coral Therapist is my primary practice, where I provide a lot of variety of therapy. And we don't take insurance, but we have services for everyone at a low cost and at a high cost. But we have therapy for everyone. So in person and online. And I'm licensed in 4 states, Florida, New York, New Jersey, and Wisconsin.
Now, I was reading in your bio that you also do telemedicine?
Yes, I do telemedicine, yes, which is the online therapy. And also in the group practice, there's other people of color. And what's special about my group practice that I think, and the reason why I like your show, is all the people that you see in my group practice, I'm helping them create their own private practice.
Oh, okay.
Wow. So it's a different concept, which we can get onto in another show. But each of them, I'm helping them create their own private practice. So if you look and you click in there, you're going to see their name, their company logo, and all that. Because I do believe in the power of giving back.
We're going to have to get her and Dr. Cash connected, Sharita.
I know. No, yeah, this is great.
And then we have your book, Improving Intimacy. Tell us about that. What can people really expect from the book? Because I don't want somebody jumping off here thinking sex therapy is about impotence or something.
Okay. Well, I have book 1, which is Self, Spirit, and Spouse, which is dealing with that intimate connection, the importance of the spirit, that inner spirit, yourself, and your spouse. That's just a general book. Then the second book is Self-Intimacy, which talks about the self-talk, also talks about knowing your bodies. That's a whole nother story, but most females don't know their bodies. And then the third book deals with greater everyday expressions of intimacy, which means it's not only just about sex, but it's about hugging, kissing, eating dinner together, doing activity. The fourth book, it's about the sex. Straight up sex, sex toys, sex techniques. And then the fifth book that is coming out within the next month is a book about business, how to have those connections. And I'm working on book 6 and 7 about children and a variety of other things. So check it out. It's all going to be on Amazon.
So y'all make sure, because I know y'all jumped on book 4, but the key books there for you entrepreneurs, it was book number 2, book number 5.
Yes, but you understand that if you have a good sex life, it makes you more productive, right?
I never knew that. Tell us more.
Because you're releasing. And when you release, it decreases that anxiety. It uplifts that depression. You feel good about yourself. Okay. But of course, you can't just have great sex with anybody. You got to have that intimate connection, which is what you learn about.
If I heard you right, before any crowded event, any group event, the speaking engagement, I should have sex before that event.
Okay.
That's not what you said. That's what I heard.
Yes. I'm not going to commit your wife to all of that. Okay. But it goes back to that commitment, that talk agreement that you and her will have. But it will help you decrease the anxiety. So, yes. So she's on board.
Equals bigger paychecks.
Okay. All right then. Yes.
That was a good one. So if you're just tuning in or if you're watching the replay, be sure to drop some of those accomplishments that you had for 2021, be it deliberate or by accident, and hashtag it with IDone21BTR for Boss Talk Radio. We really want to hear from you guys and see what the audience has been doing, see what types of things you've been accomplishing. So another thing I want to do before we get out of here, y'all can blame Sharita for this one. So she said that her word for 2021
I like that.
was consistency. So I believe in, being proactive. So let's set out our words for 2022. What you got, Reed?
Expansion.
Okay. That one just kind of works. And because somebody said earlier, I heard somebody say 22 is the year of doubling up. So, expansion just kind of works with that. Hey, sounds good. I like that. What you got there, Dr. Brown? What's your word for the year?
Okay, yeah, my word last year was fearless. And since you said doubling up, my word this year is wisdom and patience.
Okay, I have somebody on here that says execution. Go ahead and give Facebook your name so we can properly shout you out. But let's go back to that one for Dr. Brown. You gave two, so you're going to have to break them down.
Yes, well, it's doubling up. That's what you just said. Doubling up.
I got you.
Okay. But I need to be wise in the decisions I make and patient for them to be in fruition. Sometimes I have a tendency to want to rush things, and I know it's all in his timing. So, yes, that's my focus.
Okay. One of mine is not a word, it's a goal. And I believe that even though it was on my head, I believe that since it came up on today's show, that was a sign, and that was being present. Shout out to Linda Hampton. Her word for 22 is execution. But I want to be present because what I found is that I'm always so 10 minutes ahead thinking of the next thing or trying to do the next thing that I miss the right now thing. Tia had to kind of jerk my chain a couple times this year and say, hey, do you realize you did this? Or do you realize you're like, damn, because I just been running. So I want to be present in the moment, but my word is going to be stewardship.
Like that.
That's going to be the word for 2022. And the reason for that is I feel as though I now completely understand the assignment of how to serve beyond my talents, but more so in my purpose and how that impacts others. And I want to commit to being able to be that or serve that purpose, so that the people that it was intended for can get the best of me, and in the process, I think I'll be a better person because I can't do that in being an introvert. So I'm gonna have to stay prayed up about the energies that come around me, as I put myself out there or whatever. So that's my word for 2022. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Dr. April Brown for blessing us with some insightful tips and some just relevant, information, especially when it comes to self-identification. Hey, Coach Tawana, thank you for tuning in. So final words of the year. Go.
Well, I was just thinking off what you said, and George, God has taken you this far. He's not going to drop you. He's going to take you further. You have a beautiful show here that offers so much to other people. Don't be afraid. Let it just blossom. You got this. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still going to pray for patience with people, but. But thank you for that. Sharita, go ahead and bless them for the year.
I just want to say thank you so much for all the support, everyone in the ecosystem, from Dr. Cash to Jay Ville, George, most T. You guys have become extended family. I appreciate you. But one thing that I want to put out there, because a lot of times as introverts, we're kind of scared to say what, I've always been scared to put things out in the atmosphere because of the lack mindset. So I just want to be able to end the year to say that my husband and I will be Black farmers in 2022. Thank you, guys.
Oh, awesome.
Now I could see Q get that farming thing, but I want to see some dirt on your nails. I want to give a special shout out to Tara Madam Money Jackson. That platform that she put together, if you've been following her, we had her on the show when she did the Dualpreneur, and we talked about her books and everything, but she has put together a platform. A lot of people talk about it, but very few people commit to the action unless there's a celebrity attached. So there was some buzz some time ago about Jay-Z or whoever else doing a platform like this. But what I love about this is she has created a platform that allows for small business owners to actually get the services they need to grow their business without having to go to a big company and get a big contract and, all of this stuff. So if you're a business owner and you need different things for your business, whether it's social media, graphics, speakers, you name it, you'd be hard pressed not to find it there. And it's at its early stages right now. So they're still looking for professionals to fill different spots. The other really cool part about it is that those of us that are already on the platform are already utilizing each other's services to get some stuff done. So I'm really excited about it. I'm gonna run that commercial one more time before we get out of here.
DP Gigs, dpgigs.com, where minority small business services reside. You may be wondering, what is DP Gigs? Well, DP Gigs is the new marketplace where you can find a variety of services from minority small business owners online, with services such as accounting, tax prep, business coaching, virtual assistant, event planning, voiceovers, web design, and so many others. Check for yourself. Visit the website dpgigs.com. That's dpgigs.com. Now, by using the variety of minority small business services at DP Gigs, you will help keep dollars in Black and brown communities across the United States. It's easy to get started. Visit the website and search the fantastic minority small businesses that can perform the services you need at dpgigs.com. And yes, they get the job done. Check out the website, dpgigs.com, where minority small business services reside.
That's going to do it for us today on Boss Talk Radio. Remember, as Dr. Brown told us earlier, whatever happened yesterday, you can't do anything about. Whatever's going to happen tomorrow is not necessarily promised. So be present in the moment. This has been Boss Talk Radio. We'll see you guys next year.
Happy week.
Boss Talk.